Okay, we are continuing with Vaccine D class, the case against vaccination, which is basically the story of Edward Jenner's life. Edward Jenner is the man who invented vaccines. So let's get right into it. We're going to pick up at how Jenner changed his tactics. Okay. Such were the materials, and if you haven't seen my last video, you should probably go back and watch it. You should probably watch them in order. The first one's a little messed up, but you should probably watch it in order. Okay, so this is part 5. Day 5. How Jenner changed his tactics. These were the materials which he got together in order to present his paper to the Royal Society. It was not to be surprised at that, with miserable material such as this, the Royal Society, though at first at so low an ebb scientifically, should nevertheless immediately reject his paper as unsatisfactory and unsuited to a scientific society or a healthy public. Jenner took care in that paper never to mention the cases of people who had cowpox and had smallpox afterwards. He mentioned the cases of 12 men who had cowpox and did not take smallpox afterwards. But he could have had hundreds of cases who had had both. These he took good care never to say anything about. Yes, doctors diagnosing patients who died from other conditions as having died from Karachi. They learned well from Edward Jenner. Yeah. These he took great care never to say anything about. As soon, however, as he came back with his paper, the cow doctors were at him. They said this was all rubbish and began to pour on him hundreds of cases, just as we pelt the pro-vaccinists with figures showing that 90% of those who have had smallpox have already been vaccinated. So, Dr. Jenner found he would have to change his whistle. He invented a novel idea. The idea he started was this. He said there are 2 kinds of pox. One is the genuine kind and the other spurious. And those who have had cowpox and yet have had smallpox afterwards have had the spurious variety. Oh, naturally. Those who had cowpox and did not have smallpox afterwards were those who had the genuine disease. This was a very clever and specious kind of argument, and the next thing that Jenner had to do was find out where the genuine cowpox could be found. Accordingly, on going into a stable one day, he found that a cow had been infected with a very peculiar kind of disease. Well, this guy just goes from people's cow stall to cow stall, just messing with their cows. Vaccines. With a very peculiar kind of disease that was produced in this way. It seems that a man had been seeing to the grease upon a horse's heels and had gone to milk the cows without washing his hands. The result was that it produced a peculiar kind of disease known by the name of horse grease cowpox. This, said Jenner, is the life-preserving fluid. And he went home to write about the wonderful virtues of horse grease cowpox. However, it was necessary to perform an experiment, and he inoculated a boy named John Baker with horse grease, direct from the horse's heels. He intended later to inoculate him with smallpox in order to see whether it would take. But it was something like the case of the man, you remember, who had an idea that if he only gave his horse a gradually diminishing diet, he would at last be able to keep it on nothing. You remember that the horse died before the experiment could be completed? And it was the same with John Baker. For the poor boy died in the workhouse directly afterwards from a contagious fever contracted from the inoculation. Shame. So, I'm going to read one more section here. Jenner substitutes horse grease for cowpox. He then took some of the horse grease cowpox and inoculated 6 children. And without waiting to see the result or to prove whether it would take or not, he rushed to London to get his paper printed. Fake news. And in that paper, he had the audacity to assert that it was not necessary to wait to see the results because the proofs he already had were so conclusive. And time experiments had told such an extraordinary tale, although he had completed but one experiment in his life. And that did not prove it all. That boy, James Phipps, was hawked about the country as a proof of the value of vaccination, but he had not been inoculated with horse grease cowpox at all, but with spontaneous cowpox, which Jenner now declared in his second paper was absolutely useless and unprotective against the disease. But as soon as the paper was published, the outcry was tremendous. What? Said the people. Take horse grease? Filthy grease from horses' heels? Take that and put it into the blood of a child? No, they would have nothing to do with it. And neither would I. And neither should you. They did not mind having cowpox without the horse, but they could not think of having the cowpox with the horse in it. Dr. Pearson wrote Jenner telling him he must take the horse out, or it would damn the whole thing. Consequently, there is no accounting for taste. They denounced horse grease cowpox, but were prepared to accept spontaneous cowpox. And that, Patriots, is my upload for today, officially, day 5. Prepare for day 6. The rest is coming. And there's more binders. There's more bunches. There's more articles, more studies, more case studies. We're going to get into various other nations and their vaccination programs. Not just London and Germany. We're going to go all through that binder, and we're going to see all the proof that's out there that I have. Maybe some of you have other proof. Share it. Post in the comments. Tell me what you think. And down there is also a subscribe button and a like button. If you like what I do, you should probably hit those 2 buttons. And I will see you all tomorrow. Patriots, where we go one, we go all.